I forgot my water. Can someone get me a glass of water from that nice orange jug back there? Is that possible? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nathan. All right. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it out to the show. Last time I was here, we had some very spicy chapters that we were covering. Today, we also have very spicy chapters that we have to cover. If anyone watched the stream last night, you know we did a very tiny little incy bit of chapter 3, but that's okay because all the juice of chapters 3 and 4 will be here on stage tonight, but we got to get ready to break those down. And in order to do those, we've got to introduce our guest because I'm never on this journey alone. So please make some noise for tonight's guest. You know him, you love him, you've heard him across various podcast things, and you may have heard him as the co-host and co-creator of our new podcasting project, The Last and the Curious, all about the Fast and Furious movies. Make some noise for Eric Hamilton Schneider.
Hello.
How does it feel to be in a part of the Midwest that more firmly believes that you being from Cleveland actually counts as the Midwest?
Good. I think I've gotten a lot of hate from Des Moines.
Less Des Moines, Milwaukee and Minneapolis.
Really turned on me.
And you weren't there in Minneapolis, but Johnny and I asked on your behalf, and it wasn't good results.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what it's about.
I don't know. As someone, I'm trying to stay impartial and stay out of the whole Midwest game in terms of deciding what is and isn't part of the Midwest. I think everyone can be a part of the Midwest if they want to. I'm very open with my definition of the Midwest. But it's been fun to see how different the opinions are, but it's been also a very fun tour.
It's been so nice to be able to drive all around this lovely place.
Yep, we hit up Culver's today.
Culver's? Yeah, that's why we did it. For those cheers.
And I think this is probably more of a Des Moines thing, but I think they still were here. Much requested was, at least by the people of Iowa, that I have breakfast pizza from Casey's. I was worried. I got more worried when the one thing I learned about it, someone told me that it had nacho cheese on it. And I was like, what? But we did pick some.
A lot of people told us to buy pizza from a gas station, which a bit much.
Yeah, especially for the podcaster born in New Jersey and who lives in New York. However, we did get it on the way out of Iowa. And when you go into it knowing this isn't really pizza, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was basically, if it's in that Papa John's Domino's world, like, yeah, you know what you're getting. It's just kind of like soft, doughy, whatever. But the egg was nice. The sausage on it was nice. My one complaint is I would rein in the cheese sauce a little bit. Yeah. But my friend Kat from Des Moines, sorry to keep jumping, but my friend Kat from Des Moines said something about Casey's getting bought out and the new people put too much cheese on it. So that it seemed like there might be a political backing behind what's going on. There might be a deeper story. What were you going to say?
It's pizza that the chef at your local college, every so often you go to the dining hall in college and you're like, that is toppings you could put on a pizza and call it that, but whatever. Usually that doesn't break out of campus though, and this did end up in a chain of gas stations apparently.
Yeah, but most importantly, it was only $3 a slice, which we'll take. It'll be fine. But we are now here and we're ready to talk about these books, and by books I mean just chapters of the books, because you know we gotta go as slow as we can because I'm milking it according to people on the internet. So what we're gonna be doing is concluding chapter 3. We still have pretty much all of it to cover, and then we'll do chapter 4. So where we last left our heroes, they were in New Rome in the Forum and talking about stuff. And specifically, the last thing we had was Percy letting the group know that when he lost his memory, the only thing that was left in his brain was one word of one name of one person, Annabeth.
Aww.
So sweet. So cute. So Annabeth fights back tears upon hearing this. Percy reads everyone the son of Neptune, and when he finishes, Jason whistles and goes, "No wonder they made you praetor."
Delightful.
Yeah. One thing I do want to add, this is a new wrinkle in when we were driving today. Eric was listening to the chapters on the audiobook because that's how he's been mostly consuming these books. And I hadn't really listened to this one. I knew some things. Obviously, the Gia thing spawned from the audiobook. But I didn't realize there's a lot of wild pronunciations by the audiobook person. First up, praetor, he calls it preter.
I can't laugh with you because this is all I've known. This is just my world that I've been in for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's one of the tricky things where I did take Latin in high school, and my Latin professor... Yeah, fun fact. Not a lot of people know it. My Latin professor did let me know that it's hard to be definitive about pronunciations because it is a dead language. We don't really know exactly how certain things are spoken, but people have general understandings. So I have been saying praetor because it feels right based on what my teachers taught me. I don't know what the right answer is. I do know that preter is the wrong answer. It is not correct. There is no way. It doesn't rhyme with Peter.
There was one thing in the last chapter that you read, I think it was the last one, where you said ... Mm-hmm. And I missed that there was a ... in my experience because there was not a pregnant pause by any means. I was also listening on 1.4 times speed because they're audiobooks for children. And my brain's good and I can think faster than those little dweebs. But yeah, so I was like, I didn't realize there was kind of a moment there. So that was interesting too.
Yeah, you miss out on the ellipses. You miss on the use of italics.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh.
No, he put some flair on those words.
Okay, good, you're good. He did also have wild voices for everyone because now that there's 7 days to do different voices for everybody, and they are interesting to say the least. Octavian points out how they now have 3 praetors, and the rules state that they can only have 2. And Percy hits him with a perfect reply. On the bright side, both Jason and I outrank you, so we can both tell you to shut up. Perfect. Octavian turns, quote, as purple as a Roman t-shirt. Jason fist bumps Percy, which, I knew that they were going to get along,
Dudes
but this is going off so well. Dudes rock indeed.
Sometimes dudes just rock.
Just a couple of guys being dudes. Oh, it's great. Raina smiles, though her eyes are stormy. Her eyes are doing so much work this chapter. They were sparkly, they were hungry, now they're stormy. Oh my goodness gracious. She says that they can figure out their extra praetor problem later. For now, they have bigger fish to fry. Percy instantly offers to step aside for Jason, calling it no biggie, and that phrasing really rubs Octavian the wrong way. He thinks it's disrespectful. Percy just completely ignores him. Perfect. And he turns to Jason and tells him that he finds it hard to believe that Jason is Thalia's brother, or as the audiobook called her, hold on.
Thalia.
No.
No?
Thalia.
Thalia, yeah.
Thalia.
All I've known.
Again, there is debate over how to pronounce her name, but it should be squashed now that in the TV show they were like, it's Thalia, but Thalia? Jason actually agrees with this, and then he thanks Percy for saving Camp Jupiter in his absence. He says that they did a great job, and Percy goes, back at ya. And I wrote in my notes, I love this budding friendship, and then Annabeth kicks Percy in the shin, and his narrator, Annabeth, says, quote, she hated to interrupt a budding bromance, and I was like, oh! Very 2010s of Rick to write this as well. Not to interrupt a budding bromance, but Raina was right. They had serious things to discuss. So she suggests that they discuss the Great Prophecy, which Annabeth believes the Romans are also familiar with, and Raina confirms, but she says that they call it the Prophecy of the Seven.
Is it the 7 or 7? Because I feel like it's been interchanged a couple times, actually.
Is it the 7 or 7? Disagreement.
See, even disagreement out here.
Disagreement.
Because I thought it was the 7, and then in the chapter this time, they said, I think, just the Prophecy of 7. And then I was like, wait, I thought there was a the in there. This is not important. We can move on. We know what the prophecy is.
We do, but this is an interesting new debate. So they say that they're going to go over it. Raina checks with Octavian that he still hasn't memorized. He doesn't want to recount it, but Raina insists and demands that he do it in English, not Latin. He says, 7 half-bloods shall answer the call to storm or fire. The world must fall, an oath to keep with a final breath. But then Annabeth finishes it by jumping in, and foes bear arms to the doors of death. And everyone, of course, stares at Annabeth, except for Leo, who is busy making a pinwheel out of taco wrappers and sticking it inside of the wind spirits passing by. Annabeth is unsure. The person in the crowd said, smart. Annabeth is unsure why she felt compelled to say those final lines, but she did. Frank gives her a befuddled look and asks if she really is a child of Athena. Annabeth gets a bit defensive and asks why that's so shocking, and Octavian insinuates that she should be able to figure it out if she's really a daughter of the goddess of wisdom. Get out of here. Ugh. Raina defends Annabeth because, 1, she believes her, and 2, Percy has spoken very highly of Annabeth. And then Annabeth tries to understand Raina's undertone when she mentions something about Percy, and then she notices that Percy is very interested in his cheeseburger all of the sudden. So then Annabeth realizes, oh, Raina made a move on Percy and he rebuffed her. I know Annabeth is doing this because she's the narrator that is helping us if we skipped the first 2 books, but she's really reading everyone perfectly. Like, it is astounding how well she is able to interpret everything just from like a few facial expressions.
But when a teenager tries to make a move and doesn't go well, everybody can tell. Like, that's like the easiest read you can make.
Yeah, that's true. There was definitely...
Some of the other ones are pretty out there reads that she pulls off, but this one I feel like literally anyone could do.
Yeah. There was a time in middle school where I had asked a girl out. It was over the summer, and we were...
Look at this guy. Hot shot.
Oh, don't worry. Oh, don't worry. Wait till you hear the end of the story. I, at this point, knew I was moving to Texas, so like at the end of the summer, I was going to have to move. That was at least what this girl's excuse was for turning me down. It also may have been a convenient excuse, may have been the reason. But regardless, there was a pool party that all of our friends were going to that evening, and I showed up to the pool party with everyone knowing what had transpired earlier that day. Ooh. It was not fun for me. So yeah, everybody knew. It wasn't great, but it ended up being okay. Because then I moved to Texas, and then I never had to see them again.
Things worked out.
It all worked out just fine. So Annabeth takes the tone to be mixed with bitterness and maybe jealousy towards Annabeth. As narrator Annabeth, she says, quote, at that moment, Annabeth forgave her ridiculous boyfriend for everything he'd ever done wrong. She wanted to throw her arms around him, but she commanded herself to stay cool. She takes a page out of Percy's book and hits Raina with a, thanks. And Annabeth explains the parts of the prophecy that she understands. She knows that foes bear arms to the doors of death means that the Greeks and the Romans, previously foes, need to work together to close the doors.
Annabeth, very smart. However, you can't just forgive your boyfriend of every dumb thing he did before just because one girl said you were cute. That's not gonna work. That's an unequal balance of things. You gotta be like, well, someone flirted with you, so everything that you did last year is fine. Not sustainable. Not a sustainable way to go.
Maybe it's just the case that, like, the things that she is mad at him for, in quotes, like, he didn't
missing
actually
great butts
do.
and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
Yeah,
like, she's fully aware that, like, he didn't go up to Juno/Hera and be like, hello, I'd love to disappear for 8 months.
Yeah. That's the big book 4 reveal.
That it was
Percy the whole time. He's like, I gotta get away from her after 4 months.
We've been dating for 4 or 2 months, depending on who you ask. And the old ball and chain is too heavy. So then Annabeth notices Hazel move a gem of sorts into her shirt pocket. Classic Hazel. And Hazel says that her brother, Nico, went searching for them. And Annabeth asks if her brother's really Nico D'Angelo. And Hazel nods like it's obvious. Annabeth wants to ask so many follow-up questions, but instead she just asks Hazel to continue. And Hazel says that he disappeared, and she's afraid that something bad has happened to him. Classic Nico. Percy promises that they will look for him and adds that it's not really much of a burden to look for him because they're going to find the doors of death. They are going to be in Rome. That's what Thanatos said. And Percy checks, Rome's on the way to Greece, right? Which, like, yeah, sure, I guess. Annabeth is floored that the god of death told this directly to Percy, and as narrator Annabeth, she lets us know that even though they've been through a whole bunch of stuff together, this particular story that Percy has relayed about freeing death incarnate has her just a little extra spooked. It's shaken her just a little bit more than normal. Percy explains the whole Thanatos, doors of death, reforming monsters relationship, how now that he's free, they'll die, but they can still sneak through. Basically, book 1, what was going on, versus book 2.
Do you want to talk about the Thanatos?
Oh, you're right. Thank you for reminding me
another
that he pronounces it Thanatos.
Every single time in the car when the narrator made a pronunciation that was different than Mike's, Mike just yelled it out. It was very funny, and it happened like 5 times in 45 minutes.
He said Thanatos, like he's the Squidward guy from that Marvel thing where he's like, you have the joy of being murdered by Thanos. Like,
I got confused because I thought you started doing a Jennifer Coolidge halfway through that.
I can't.
And I was like, what version of Endgame did you watch?
The Snyder cut. Yeah. Piper likens it to water leaking through a dam, and then Percy smiles and goes, yeah, we got a damn hole. And Piper goes, what? And then Percy goes, nothing, inside joke. It's a very teenager move to do. He says that the point is they must find the doors and close them before they go to Greece. And Raina says, quote, you propose an expedition to Greece in your warship. You do realize the ancient lands and the Mare Nostrum are dangerous? And Leo responds, Mary who? And Jason explains, because he, I guess, also took Latin in high school, that Mare Nostrum means our sea. We all knew this. And that is what the ancient Romans called the Mediterranean. Raina adds that not only is it the birthplace of the gods, but also monsters, titans, giants, and worse things. And I was like, Raina, you got to tell me what those are. Because this is only the beginning of the book, so I don't get to talk to Dr. Moya for months. What are the worst things than the titans? Now, she says that traveling there as a demigod is 10 times worse than traveling throughout the US as a demigod. So things are going to get dicey. Percy counters that Raina also told him that traveling through Alaska would be treacherous, and they were totally fine. But Raina says that it's a completely different beast.
Totally up for negotiation there. Also, I like the idea that just like that's where like the gods are from. There's just more monsters there too. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, that logic works. Sure, why not?
I guess it's going along with like the culture thing, or I'm not
like
sure.
If the gods came over and they live in New York City, the monsters just like some of them came over to America.
Oh, you're saying that like much like the gods move, the monster
why are they all
hub should also
vaguely
move.
still in Rome and Greece? Apparently, it just seems odd.
Maybe they really don't do well with. They never got their passports.
Yeah, it's tough. The photo and then the fee, all that stuff.
They don't do well on boats or in planes, like maybe just international travel.
Yeah, they don't do. I mean, what's her name doesn't do well on a plane. Ella doesn't do well on a plane.
That's true. So maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's logistics. You know? They're like pugs. You don't want to put them on a plane because of the nose stuff.
That's what happens. I don't know. I've never had a pet.
It's fine. We can move on.
So Raina says that it's a completely different beast. She says that no one in their right mind would go there. And Leo goes, then we're good. Jason says they must hurry because Gia gains consciousness as time passes, and his proof is that she's popping up in more places in the form of spawned monsters and dream visits. And Annabeth shudders at this mention because she's been having nightmares recently. Annabeth then tries to figure out who the 7 are. She says that it must be a mix of Greek and Roman, and she first identifies the 4 that came along with her, and then Percy goes, yeah, me, Frank, and Hazel would round out the 7. And of course Octavian's like, what about me? He says that they should have a vote in the Senate. They can't just pick the 7 right now. But Tyson breaks up this soapbox by running in with Ella and Mrs. O'Leary. And Annabeth is confused by Ella, but is very excited to see Tyson. Tyson explains that he's concerned because Ella is scared. She's anxious because of the boats. She says that boats are not for harpies. And when she starts listing out stuff about boats, one of the things is the Titanic. And Leo asks if the Argo II, Argo Harder, really was just compared to the Titanic. And I guess he was meaning, and like that would be a negative connotation in that the Titanic famously didn't do so hot.
Yeah. But on the other side, Leo is acting like he has created the greatest ship of all time, which I think was kind of a big part of the Titanic.
So it is actually a perfect comparison.
Yeah. Well, I mean, only if it goes really bad.
I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Who knows?
Let's see how this chapter goes. Tyson explains that they must take Ella away, but she will not go on the ship. Ella says that ships are bad luck, and then she makes eye contact with Annabeth and says, there she is, Wisdom's daughter walks alone, and then Frank interjects and say, oh, maybe now's not really a good time, Ella, but Ella continues, and she gives a full prophecy. Ooh. She says, the Mark of Athena burns through Rome. Twins snuff out the angel's breath, who holds the key to endless death. Giant's bane stands golden pale, won through pain from a woven jail. So I'm going to see if, like, real quick, I can kind of, like, guess a couple of things from this. So Wisdom's daughter walks alone, feels like Annabeth. Mark of Athena burns through Rome. We see, as the chapter goes on, what the Mark of Athena was. But at this point in time, I didn't know what it was. So I was operating under the fact that, like, the Mark of Athena would have been, like, a metaphorical mark. Like, not a physical mark. I thought it would be some sort of, you know, like a marking on a map, like something like that. So I was thinking that it was going to be like some sort of particular location. Twins snuff out the angel's breath. I feel like it has to be new characters, because if the Stoll brothers become key members, and they're also not twins, I think they're just brothers. So I don't believe that we actually know any twins currently. So I feel like these have to be new people. As far as the angel's breath, I really have no idea. Like, again, I feel like this entire line is like two new people snuff out two new people. Like they kill, that just felt like, I don't know who this is. And continue, angel's breath, who holds the key to endless death. So then I was like, oh, is it like the angel of death? But we already met Thanatos. Is that different? Is he a villain now? Do we have to do something mean to him? I don't know. And then it says giant's bane stands gold and pale. So if it's the giant's bane, it would be the enemy of the giant. So someone good is going to be golden and pale.
Is it two words? Giant's bane?
It's giant's S apostrophe. So giant's bane, the bane of plural giants. And it says that this giant's bane is won through pain from a woven jail. So I feel like, much like freeing Hera, also I guess in the last book freeing Thanatos, this feels like there's going to be someone that's on our team that is golden pale that they must free. And since it said won through pain, WON through pain, then that kind of feels like
what you miss. You don't know what are those types of words, homonyms, whatever.
Yeah. That feels like they're going to have homophones. Yes, thank you. Then that feels like there has to be some sort of sacrifice or trade. I don't know if this is already where we're worried about. At least I'm worried about Frank or Hazel not making it out, but it feels like there's going to be some sort of either battle or sacrifice. So that's my initial not looking anyone in the crowd in the eyes, especially because the house lights are up a little bit, so I could certainly see facial expressions if I was getting anything right or wrong. So I made sure to look only at my notes. But yeah, that's just like initial, very, very early thoughts. But I'm going to try with this book to kind of like keep revisiting this so I can like make guesses as I learn more stuff.
I've got a guess.
Oh yeah, because for context, you have not read past.
I am as far as Mike.
Yeah, so
for
I don't
diversity,
know. Go for it.
I think the twin stuff. I think secret twin.
Secret twin.
And I've been thinking a lot about secret twin.
Okay, we have had
today.
secret sibling, but not yet secret twin.
And I've narrowed it down to a few people that could have secret twin.
Sure.
I think one of Hades' kids could have a secret twin.
Ooh, okay.
I think the other option I think the stuff with Leo and Sammy, maybe something going on there, secret twin situation. Ooh. Again, no idea what that means, just saying words. The thing that I've landed on that could be the most thing, and we haven't gone to this part of the chapter, or I think it's next chapter actually, where we talk about the other child of Athena. Could be Annabeth's twin.
Ooh, that's good.
That's what I got.
I like that.
That's what I got.
I think that's good. Yeah, I think very fun. That's very fun. Cool. We'll have to see. So, everyone is stunned and stares at Ella in silence. Narrator Annabeth says, quote, Annabeth's heart was pounding, the Mark of Athena. She resisted the urge to check her pocket, but she could feel the silver coin growing warmer, the cursed gift from her mother. Follow the Mark of Athena. Avenge me. So I believe in one of the first 2 chapters, she mentioned something very briefly of like, oh, the worst gift ever from my mom. But what's funny is, as people listening to the podcast will have heard, I have decided to call the mid-roll break for this book the Marks of Athena, because it was like, oh, it's like ads, but then also like marks in terms of like remarks, updates, things and going on. I didn't think the Mark of Athena was going to be like a literal Mark of Athena, so I thought I was doing a cool pun. Instead, I'm just describing the book, apparently, but I'm going to rock with it.
How is Mark spelled? Again, audio.
With a K, M-A-R-K.
What if it's a guy named Mark? What if the guy that washes up on the beach in the next chapter is literally a Mark of Athena? I'm calling that right now.
Yes.
And everyone owes me $100 if I'm right. All of you.
Hi, it's me, Mark of Athena. I'm the...
And I'm Annabeth's twin.
Mark of Athena.
And I'm Annabeth's twin.
I'm Mark of Athena. That's great. So... follow the Mark of Athena. Percy is the first to snap out of this daze, and he persuades Tyson and crew to leave and get some fresh air. Octavian wants to revisit what Ella said. Frank says that she reads a lot, and she probably just read it in a book. They found her in a library, after all, so that would check out. Hazel backs him up. Ella says that she likes books, and now she's more relaxed, having gotten this stressful regurgitation of prophecy out of her system. Annabeth looks at Percy, and she can tell that he, Frank, and Hazel are all hiding something. She also knows that Ella clearly just recited a prophecy, and that prophecy is about Annabeth. Octavian also thinks that it was a prophecy. No one responds to him asserting as such, which I love. I'm glad everyone else doesn't like this dude, just like me. Percy makes a face that reads, help. So Annabeth kicks into gear and plays perfectly into Octavian's pride. She asks if the Romans really would rely on harpies for their prophecies. And then all of the Romans laugh. Octavian feels embarrassed. Annabeth insists that Hazel was right. She was just regurgitating words from a book. She says that they all should focus on the actual prophecy that they know about rather than something that maybe could be a prophecy if you really stretch. Annabeth suggests to Tyson that he could go shadow traveling with Ella. That could be nice. And then she asks Ella if that's okay, which I think is good of her to double check, and it seems to be fine. Percy says that they will IM them when they're done and they want to catch up. The Romans then turn to Raina for her approval, and she gives it to this plan. Tyson hugs everyone, Octavian included, who hates it, which if you don't love a hug from Tyson... come on.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? You just hate fun. You hate fun. And then Tyson leaves with his crew. Raina says that Octavian is right about one thing. They do need Senate approval before embarking on any quest, especially one this grandiose. Octavian is convinced that this is all a trap. He refuses to believe that the Argo II, this time it's personal, is a peaceful vessel. Leo offers to give him a tour, offering to even give him a little paper captain's hat to wear as he steers the boat. It's great.
I mean, it's not a peaceful vessel. Like, I don't like the guy, but he is right on that one. It is a giant warship hovering above your college quad. Like...
What's wild is that they haven't explained, yes, it is a warship, but the war is for other people. Like the fact that at no point...
your buddy rolls up on your house in a tank. You're like, what are you doing?
The tank is for the other guys, not for you. This is just a pizza. We added a stop on Google Maps. We are stopping by here before we go.
We're picking up some breakfast pizza in the tank, and then we're going to Rome. That's the plot of the Fast and Furious movie, actually.
Oh, yeah? We didn't cover that one in the Last and the Curious.
Basically.
Wait.
They drove a tank through Rome or something.
I thought you meant picking up pizza on the way to the main event.
No, the part that made a lot more sense in the context of Fast and Furious.
Correct. They do drive through Rome in one of them. And to find out which one, download The Last and the Curious. Octavian's upset. Raina thinks it's a good idea. Octavian wants to argue, but Raina shoots him a look that is so stern that he relents. Narrator Annabeth then says, quote, Leo got up, he turned to Annabeth, and his smile changed. It happened so quickly, Annabeth thought she'd imagined it. But just for a moment, someone else seemed to be standing in Leo's place, smiling coldly with a cruel light in his eyes. Then Annabeth blinked, and Leo was just regular old Leo again with his usual impish grin. So at this point, all I could think of was the whole what's going on with Leo being Sammy. This could be, has he turned into Sammy? Is it some sort of thing where it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing? But it just feels so strange. Like, it's just incredibly confusing, especially given that the look was cold, like it was evil. So I was made very uncomfortable by this. I didn't know what was going on, and maybe we'll see what happens with it, but at least at this point in time, I was like, oh, what's going on? I don't know. I don't like this. It wasn't like too surprising that something bad was going on with Leo, because I feel like everyone else had like these complex things going on. And then Leo was just like, hey, once a page, I'm going to do a cool zinger. And it was going on for 3 chapters. And I was like, So for this to now be Leo's potential bad wrinkle is concerning. But Leo says that he will be right back because this is going to be, quote, epic. Very 2010s of him. Then this big chill just washes over Annabeth. She wants to call back Leo and Octavian, but she knows that it would look ridiculous. She doesn't have any reason, nothing to point to aside from this bad instinctual feeling. Jason asks Raina if he can show Piper around New Rome before the Senate meeting, and I just wrote in my notes, bro. Like, I was genuinely curious because I don't know if it was clear at the end of the first book. Does he have all of his memories back? Like, does Jason know, like, the full deal with Raina? I don't know. Some people are saying yes, and some people are saying no. So I don't know. Okay, very emphatic thumbs up from the person in the front row. So if he does fully know what's going on, bro, come on. What are you doing? Ugh. Raina's not happy about this. Annabeth wonders how Jason, quote, could be so dense. And narrator Annabeth says, quote, was it possible he really didn't understand how much Raina liked him? It was obvious enough to Annabeth. Asking to show his new girlfriend around Raina's city was rubbing salt in the wound. And Raina just coldly replies, of course. Percy takes Annabeth's hand and says that he would love to do the same, but Raina denies this request as she would like a few words alone with Annabeth. And I love this. As I said in the previous episode at the show last night, I really feel like Raina needs someone to talk to. We probably won't get her as the narrator, and I feel like she's been really going through it in these chapters, and she's in a particularly tough situation. So for us to maybe get a little heart-to-heart action via a chat with Annabeth had me very excited.
She needs a Grover.
Oh, she does.
She needs like a buddy.
She might not even need a Grover. What if she just needs Grover? Where is he?
Who doesn't? Yeah.
Come through.
That is a good question.
I want my guy back.
Was he even in the book with Jason? Really?
No, I think they just mentioned that he's out searching. No.
Yeah, because he's searching.
Yeah, he's not been in the books. Give me Grover. Come on.
Maybe he finds the door to death.
Oh.
Unlikely.
Maybe Grover has a secret twin. Ooh.
Yeah.
They snuff out the angel.
Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe he's the golden pale one.
That's it. That's definitely it.
Annabeth gets the chill again, and she's wondering what Raina is up to. She wonders if Raina doesn't want both of the dudes who rejected her showing around their hot new girlfriends. But she thinks maybe Raina actually does want to discuss something with me in private. But either way, Annabeth doesn't love the idea of being alone and unarmed with the leader of the Romans. But Raina gets to her feet and says, come, daughter of Athena, walk with me. And that is the end of chapter 3, which I've retitled, It's Me. Hi, the prophecies about me. Do you have a retitling of chapter 3?
I mean, it's a little bit focused on me, but I think I am Mark of Athena.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. So now let's do a little bit of chapter 4 before we break for intermission. This one's also called Annabeth, but of course we will retitle it. It opens with, quote, Annabeth wanted to hate New Rome, but as an aspiring architect, she couldn't help admiring the terraced gardens, the fountains and temples, the winding cobblestone streets, and gleaming white villas. She got her dream job of redesigning Olympus last year, but now she's regretting not making some of her designs look like the cool designs she's seeing in New Rome. She can tell that whoever did design New Rome put tons of effort and time into it, and the results show it.
And it only took a day. That was, I feel bad. I feel bad.
No, that was good.
That was no
that
good.
Was great.
I
That was
genuinely
great.
did not like that.
That was great. I love it. Raina says that they have the best architects in the world, and I would disagree because they don't have Kelly Schubert. He's
Or my cousin.
Oh, I didn't know your cousin was an architect.
My cousin's architect and my uncle's an architect.
Ooh, do you know what type of
They haven't
architecture?
built a single building for me.
Do you know what kind of stuff they do? Is it like big buildings or is it more like...
I don't know what my uncle did, but my cousin does like new modern like office buildings, but not like skyscraper ones, like cool ones that would be like a campus kind of thing.
Fun. Cool. But Raina says that they've got the best ones in the world and that Rome always did. Raina explains how people often settle down here, adding that Percy seemed especially excited about this idea, and Annabeth wonders what that means, and clearly her face shows it as Raina begins to laugh. But Raina says that she likes the warrior's fire in Annabeth's eyes. Annabeth apologizes, and Raina tells her not to, explaining that she's the daughter of Bellona. Annabeth checks that that's the Roman goddess of war, and Raina confirms, and then whistles, and her metal dogs arrive. She checks with Annabeth to make sure that them joining on the walk is okay, and I thought at first that this was cool and nice, but then Annabeth doesn't think it's actually a request, more of like, you know, this is going to happen, be okay with it. But I thought it would be cool if she was asking because not everybody likes dogs. I know you have dogs and they're very nice and lovely, but I would say that some people have dogs that are not nice and not lovely. And there's certain situations where people just assume like, yeah, it's okay if my dog does this. And I think it's wild. Like I had worked at a company that I learned when I showed up was like a dog-friendly office on my first day.
Oh.
What if I was allergic to dogs?
I don't get that. I don't get office dogs. I love the concept of an office dog. I work from home. I have office dogs technically. But I don't get how that's something you could have at an office. It just feels specifically for that reason. Like my cousin, the architect, is allergic to my dogs and has to take a Zyrtec every time he comes over. And I don't know like how he could do his job if my dogs are at his office.
Yeah. I mean, look, one of the office dogs was a pit bull, and it may or may not have bitten someone's face at work.
Well, that's no good.
Yeah, maybe don't have office dogs. But like, I don't know, sometimes like I'll be in Central Park, which is not a no leash park. And like me and my friends were warming up for a softball game and a dog like rushed over. The dude's owner was like on the other side of the field and it like came up and like grabbed one of our balls and stuff. But like, I don't know, what if someone on the team was deathly afraid of dogs? I say this as a child who was deathly afraid of dogs.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like, it took me a while to get that. So I do not have problems with dogs. I have problems with dog owners that aren't doing a good job. My big hot take, you got to pass a driver's license exam. You should have to pass a pet license exam. Like, it's wild. Not everyone should be a pet owner because some people don't know what they're doing.
Here's the other thing about off-leash dogs, because they're always like, he's friendly. As much as Mike said nice things about my dog, my one dog, Henry, is a little jerk. He sucks. He barks at any other dog he sees on the street. Now he's starting to go blind. He's 12. It's okay. It's not sad. And now he started barking at strollers, which is like,
oh no.
Come on, man. You can't, because he thinks it's a dog because he can't see shapes. No. It's a jerk move, whether it is a dog or a stroller. But now I'm just walking the dog and he's barking at babies. And I'm like, but if an off-leash dog runs up to him, he's not going to be cool about it. I don't care how nice your dog is. My dog's a jerk.
Yeah, I do.
He was a rescue. We tried really hard. We could not get him to not be a jerk. He was 6. We really tried.
I mean, I hate it, but I do find it funny when the dog is like actively like barking and like chomping at someone else and they're like, he's nice, I swear. It's like, are you sure? He doesn't seem very nice. Or like, he's normally nice. Well, he's not being nice right now.
I yell across the street and go, he's a jerk, I'm sorry.
I don't care how he is.
He's also 20
house.
pounds. He can barely do it.
No, I've had like big dogs like bark and chomp and it's like, oh, he's normally not like this. Like, well, he's being like this currently. Then I have to deal with this now. I don't care if he's sweet in your house. He's mean at this restaurant. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So, Annabeth thinks that, yeah, maybe weapons are not allowed in New Rome, but these dogs are definitely weapons. They could tear me to shreds. Raina takes them past a cafe and they pick up hot chocolate. They continue on. Raina explains that here in New Rome, Athena is Minerva. She is the goddess of crafts and wisdom, not war. She is also a maiden goddess, much like Diana, as the Romans call her, or Artemis, as the Greeks call her. And thus, the idea of Minerva having children is surprising to the Romans, and that would lead to the comments like Terminus saying, oh, it's scandalous. Annabeth certainly doesn't want to get into the whole thing of like, oh yeah, and when you do have kids, they pop out of brains. So she just kind of keeps that locked inside. Raina says that Romans take vows of maidenhood very seriously, citing the Vestal virgins who would be buried alive if they broke their vow and fell in love. So, fun, cool. Annabeth now gets why people are so off-put by her, because they think she shouldn't exist. And even if Minerva did have kids, they would not be warriors like her. They would be craftier and not as intense and not competent with fighting. Now, Raina, when she's talking about this, says that Annabeth is a leader of quests, and people wouldn't expect children of Minerva to be these warrior planning leader of quests. And Annabeth wants to insist that she's not the leader of this quest, but then she thinks, would anybody in my crew really think I'm not the leader of this quest? And then she cites as narrator Annabeth that even Jason and even Coach Hedge, who doesn't take orders from anyone, have been taking orders and requesting orders from Annabeth. Raina then changes the subject to the prophecy. She asks Annabeth to admit that what Ella said is a prophecy because she thinks it is, and Annabeth admits it, decides telling the truth around these scary dogs is probably smart, but Annabeth does clarify that she has never met Ella or heard these lines before. Raina says that she's heard some of them, and then talks about it a couple paragraphs later. They go up the hill. Annabeth can tell that they have met before because she's batting 1,000 in this book, and she says this much to Raina. And Raina explains the whole Hilla, Circe's Island, Cece's Spa stuff from the Sea of Monsters. And then she brings Annabeth to her favorite spot, the Garden of Bacchus. And narrator Annabeth describes it as, quote, grapevine trellises made a canopy overhead, bees buzzed through honeysuckle and jasmine, which filled the afternoon air with a dizzying mix of perfumes. In the middle of the terrace stood a statue of Bacchus in a sort of ballet position, wearing nothing but a loincloth, his cheeks puffed out and lips pursed, spouting water into a fountain. And she almost busts out in laughter because this is so wildly different from Mr. D, her understanding of Dionysus/Bacchus. Raina brings her to the edge of the terrace, and Annabeth takes in the stunning view. Raina reveals why she wanted to have this chat. She wanted to hear from Annabeth herself why she should trust her. She could tell that Piper has some sort of charm-speaking ability, so she wanted to get away from her so that she could know that her beliefs were actually true and not the influence of the magic in Piper's words.
Yeah, you don't want that whole thing tricking you.
No.
On the whole situation. That's no good.
No, not at all. But it is making me realize, like, Piper is going to become very important on this quest. This power is going to be very strong. Yeah. Raina can also tell that Jason has changed. She says that he seems more distant and less Roman, and Annabeth hears pain in her voice saying this about Jason. Annabeth, as the narrator says, quote, Annabeth wondered if she had sounded that way all the months she'd spent searching for Percy. At least she'd found her boyfriend. Raina had no one. She was responsible for
Yikes! Yikes! I mean, correct, but yikes!
She didn't say it out loud, so it's okay. She was responsible for running an entire camp all by herself. Annabeth could sense that Raina wanted Jason to love her, but he had disappeared, only to come back with a new girlfriend. Meanwhile, Percy had risen to Praetor, but he had rebuffed Raina too. Now Annabeth had come to take him away. Raina would be left alone again, shouldering a job meant for two people. When Annabeth had arrived at Camp Jupiter, she'd been prepared to negotiate with Raina or even fight her if needed. She hadn't been prepared to feel sorry for her. And this is super rough. Like, obviously, Raina's in a really tough position, but I do love that Annabeth understands this position. So it makes me really happy because I feel like Raina for sure needs this. Like, Raina needs someone that she can talk to about this. Annabeth as well, but at least Annabeth has some sort of support system. She came here with some folks. She obviously has Percy. She has people she can talk to. Raina just feels like she doesn't have anyone she can have this kind of chat with. So if Raina and Annabeth become close and they can be honest and open with each other, that has me very excited.
I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Because there's the whole dynamic between Camp Half-Blood and New Rome. And New Rome's got all these other old demigods and stuff. And they don't seem to help at all with the camp part of it. Like, they can't, like, they have a university. They can't send a TA or two over to, like, help those kids. Like, right? Yeah. Why? Yeah. What is up with that? Because at Camp Half-Blood, it's mostly just the kids and then a few mythical creatures and gods and all that. Rome seems like a society. And like, it seems like the kids are just like, you guys figure it out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's similar. Like, I wonder if it's the sort of thing where it's like, oh, it would be best for them to like fight their own battles and figure it out. At least with the Greek stuff, you have like the explicit rule that the gods can't meddle,
Right,
they can't intervene.
that's true.
That's not necessarily the same as like these older demigods that are hanging around and in the army reserves, basically. But yeah, they probably should be helping out more.
Yeah, I mean, at least get her like a psychologist to talk to
Right,
or
like,
something. Like
it's-
someone's studying something over there that could be helpful.
It seems to be a recurring theme. The more YA sort of books that
Yeah.
I come across, like there's so many problems that would be like, what if there was a therapist?
What or an adult around?
Yeah, it was like there was a meme I saw where it was just making fun of like YA books in general, and it was like the most important task of our universe is before us. Send in the 13-year-olds. But yeah, I'm hopeful about the Raina and Annabeth relationship, but we will just have to see.
I mean, nothing could go wrong.
Nothing short.
Moments from now.
This is great. They'll have a big heart-to-heart. Everything's going to be A-OK.
I do hope they get along. I think they would really click.
I think so. Like, look, what happens in
Let's
these
just make
chapters
it a
aside-
prophecy of 8. Let's just add her on.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, to come through. So she's wondering, I didn't think I was going to have to pity for her. Then they kind of talk. Annabeth reveals to get on better terms with Raina. Is like, let me just share some stuff about my past. So she talks about her life before Camp Half-Blood, at Camp Half-Blood, the adventures that her and Percy went on, etc. And she notes that Raina is a good listener. She is such a good listener that Annabeth wants to go on about, quote, her fight with her mom, the gift of the silver coin, and the nightmares she's been having about an old fear so paralyzing she'd almost decided that she couldn't go on this quest, but she couldn't bring herself to open up quite that much, and Chiron fist pumps in the distance, and I am furious at him because, yeah, Annabeth might want to talk about this stuff. I need to know about these things. Rick is so good. He's so good. Because now I'm super duper intrigued. He's always planting these seeds. Gah. When Annabeth finishes, Raina looks over the city and points to the temples in the distance, and she identifies the Temple of Bellona specifically. She states that Bellona has no Greek aspect. She is fully Roman and is the goddess of protecting the homeland. She says that when Romans go to war, they first visit the Temple of Bellona, and they throw a spear into a patch of ground that symbolizes the enemy territory.
This rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing this.
Before you leave, just
like
spike a spear.
Just like when I'm gonna go fight my enemies and stuff. Just like,
Who are your enemies?
you know.
I do. Yeah, that'd be good. It'd feel good. Raina says that Romans believed that the best defense is a good offense, hence the spear throwing thing. She explains that their ancestors used to invade other people out of protection whenever they felt threatened. Let me attack you before you attack us.
That'd be a crazy thing for a country to do.
Oh, no. Yay. Raina's point is that cooperation is not in their blood. She says that their sides have quarreled for eons. Annabeth says it doesn't have to be that way, which I really like. And she says that they must unite or Gia will destroy them. And Raina agrees, which I also really like. But Raina is worried that Juno's plan may be flawed because even goddesses can make mistakes. And narrator Annabeth says, quote, Annabeth waited for Raina to get struck by lightning or turned into a peacock. Nothing happened. And then as the narrator...
What a disappointing thing, too. To think one of those two things is about to happen and it's just not to. You're like, ooh, that's a miss.
I also like that Annabeth thinks this. Maybe it's because Raina is Roman. She doesn't know exactly what Juno would do. But I like to live in the world because Annabeth famously had the cow poop curse from Hera. I think that this is Annabeth recognizing Hera hates me the most. Only I get the cow poop curse. If something bad is going to happen to Raina, it will be something not as,
Manageable.
Yeah, struck by lightning, ow, turned into a peacock. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but not the worst. So I like that she's immediately thinking yeah, Hera might get mad, but it won't be what I got because she extra hates me.
You turn into a peacock, you get to walk around the Brookfield Zoo. It's nice.
Good stuff.
I've been here before.
Annabeth promises Raina that this is not a trick, and she insists that they can work together. And Raina says that she believes her, but if Annabeth is about to go to Rome, she must know something about her mother. And she tells this story about how when she, Raina, lived on Circe's island, a man washed ashore, and he was a son of Athena, Mark. He was drifting at sea for days, and he had gone mad from thirst and heat. And Annabeth doesn't really know what Raina's getting at, as this could be anyone, any demigod that went on a quest in the Sea of Monsters. Annabeth asks what happened, and Raina says that Circe then turned him into a guinea pig, but before that, he was raving about failing his quest. He said that he went to Rome following the Mark of Athena. This might poke a hole in your theory.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Unless he's not the Mark of Athena.
Yeah.
But there is someone he was following named Mark.
Yep.
This is Robert of Athena. And he was following the Mark of Athena.
Yeah.
Annabeth has to grab the railing to not lose her balance, and Raina's like, I know. Raina says that he ranted about the same lines that Ella had said. She asks if Annabeth really has never heard them before, and Annabeth says no. And as narrator Annabeth, she lets us know that this is true. She says the closest that she got to this was her mom giving her the task to follow the Mark of Athena. So she hasn't actually said any of this, and she's being truthful with Raina and lets us know as the narrator, I'm not lying. This is really where we are at. So Annabeth then asks, okay, after thinking about these strange nightmares, and I'm like, tell me about the nightmares, come on. She asks Raina, did the demigod ever explain his quest? And Raina shakes her head no. She says, quote, at the time, I had no idea what he was talking about. Much later, when I became praetor of Camp Jupiter, I began to suspect. And I'm so glad that Annabeth asks, suspect what? She is very much taking a page out of Percy's book, where she is not letting a question go unanswered. And here's what we get from Raina. Quote, there's an old legend that the praetors of Camp Jupiter have passed down through the centuries. If it's true, it may explain why our two groups of demigods have never been able to work together. It may be the cause of our animosity until this old score is finally settled. So the legend goes, Romans and Greeks will never be at peace, and the legend centers on Athena. And I was like, oh man, okay, what's this gonna be? But then, of course, this big loud noise happens, and some lights flash. So, of course, Chiron is so stoked about this. And they turn, and Annabeth sees an explosion in the forum. And I was like, that's not good. Because there is a big warship currently hovering over the forum. So if I had to put my money on where this crater came from, I know someone. There is a burning couch now tumbling through the air. Demigods are running about. They're all panicked. Annabeth wonders, is it giants? And I was like, please let it be giants. Please, 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 please. I would love to meet a new giant friend, and then we can just squash them with the Argo II, and we don't have to worry about the Argo II fighting the ground directly below it. But Raina replies, it isn't the giants. And then her eyes are seething with rage. And I was like, oh no. And she says that they have betrayed their trust. Annabeth and I both go, what? No! And then we get this quote from narrator Annabeth. As soon as she said it, the Argo II launched a second volley. Its port ballista fired a massive spear wreathed in Greek fire, which sailed straight through the broken dome of the Senate House and exploded inside, lighting up the building like a jack-o'-lantern. And then she's wondering, oh no, this could be so bad. She has this wave of nausea in her stomach. She's trying to explain to Raina, this is impossible. We definitely wouldn't do this. The metal dogs run to Raina's side. They're upset, but they don't pounce on her. So Raina knows that Annabeth is telling the truth, so she knows, okay, you might not have actually been aware of this treason, but someone must pay for this. And they look in the forum, and it's so chaotic down there. There are crowds that are pushing and shoving each other. People are getting ready to fight. They're ready to throw hands, and Raina is very upset. Annabeth and her think that they absolutely have to stop this, but then narrator Annabeth says, quote, Annabeth had a horrible feeling this might be the last time Raina and she ever acted in agreement, but together they ran down the hill. And that is where we will take our break. Ooh. So, if you're listening to the podcast, this is where we will take our break. The Mark of Athena, very creative name. So, sorry, the Marks, plural, of Athena. It's different. Yay! So, let's all say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye, podcast. Hello and welcome to the Marks of Athena Auxiliary Shubio edition. The baby is asleep, so I've got to record this one in a different closet in our apartment. We've got a bunch of updates with the podcast, so let's get into it. First and foremost, though, I have a new podcast that you can listen to right now. I've co-created a new show with Sequoia Simone, who you know from all of the really fun episodes we've done on this podcast and some other podcasting crossovers we've had. It's a new show called Professional Talkers. It's a comedic advice show where we give advice about how to navigate awkward conversations as professional podcasters. We've both had hours upon hours of our conversations uploaded for the internet to pick apart and make fun of us for things that we've said weird, pronounced weird, etc. So we've been through a bunch of awkward situations in our lives, and we want to help you avoid ones that might come in your lives. The first episode is up right now. You can watch the video version of it on YouTube or on Spotify, and then the audio versions everywhere else. The first episode discusses small talk at a party where the only person you know there is the host. We'll be doing episodes about relationships and friends stuff and family stuff and work stuff and roommate stuff and people in your building or your neighborhood stuff. We've already recorded a bunch of episodes and I'm really excited for you all to hear them. You can listen to the show by searching for Professional Talkers wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on social media at ProTalkPod. And if you live in New York City, come through to our podcast premiere picnic party that we're doing on Sunday, July 20th. That is this coming Sunday. If you're listening to this episode the week that it released, we're going to be at the Great Hill Oval in Central Park from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday, July 20th. That's the most northwestern part of the park. We'll be there just hanging, bring some snacks, we'll have some stuff. We're just going to chill and chat. No real agenda other than just saying hey and meeting each other and talking about the pod. We've got some giveaways as well, so you can get free stickers and free Patreon type goodies and stuff. So head on over and say hi to me and Sequoia and some other people who might be listening to this podcast. There'll be some other podcast people, maybe some TNO guests. Who's to say? Come on through. Speaking of seeing me at events, if you want to see me at events, we've got some events coming up in the next month because we are almost halfway through July. Doesn't time fly? Isn't that fun and not terrifying at all? But we've got a bunch of stuff going on for TNO in August. Got a show in St. Louis on August 14th. The ticket link is now working. If you had a situation where you were getting either waitlisted or it said the show was sold out, that's because we had to change venues. The old venue shut down. We're at a new venue and you can get tickets to that show properly now. And then I will be in St. Louis for Enchanticon August 15th through 17th. Definitely doing stuff Saturday and Sunday. TNO stuff is on Sunday. Maybe doing stuff Friday, TBD. And then August 18th will be in Kansas City, Missouri. I do know the guests. Johnny's going to be the guest for the St. Louis show. Kansas City, the guest is going to be Michael Hollis. And then in September, got a show in Providence, Rhode Island on the 13th and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on the 28th. The guest for the Providence show on the 13th is Sequoia. And the guest for the Pittsburgh show on the 28th is Eric Schneider, who's on this episode. So you can get tickets to all those shows at thenewsolympian.com/live. And you can get tickets to Enchanticon at enchanticon.com. And I think the promo code SHUBS gets you 10% off tickets. Now, speaking of Central Park, here's a correction for something I said earlier in this episode. I said that Central Park was not a dog off-leash park. And that is true. Normally, there are some circumstances where you can have your dog off the leash. I did know this. I don't know why I didn't say this on stage, but from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., you can have your dog off leash. I did not know about the late night option. I knew about the morning option. But yes, I was incorrect in saying that it is not a dog off leash park. It's just normally not a dog off the leash park. The story that I was telling you about was for an afternoon/early evening softball game. So certainly that dog should have been on a leash. Now, if you listened to our mid-roll break last episode, you know that we have a new fun thing going on with the Patreon. If you become an annual member of the TNO Patreon, or if you already are an annual member of the TNO Patreon, which means you pay for a full year instead of month by month, and you save 15% on the cost of what it would have been paying monthly. So that's cool. You save money. That's nice. If you're a yearly Patreon supporter of the News Olympian on September 1st of this year, 2025, I will be sending you TNO bookmarks. We made bookmarks for the chapter titles. You know how I change all the chapter titles at the end of discussing each chapter? I made bookmarks for that for The Lost Hero and gave those out at live shows to folks who bought stuff at the merch table. And it was really fun. And I wanted to be able to give it to anyone, not just folks who were able to attend live shows. So if you are an annual member of any of the tiers, the $5
$5 tier or the $10 tier, the $20 tier, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what tier you're at. If you are an annual patron, we're going to run the numbers on September 1st and reach out, get people's addresses and stuff. And then we will mail you 2 bookmarks, one for The Lost Hero and one for The Son of Neptune. The Lost Hero one will be yellow. So if you did get the teal one at a live show, you can now get one that looks different. And then the Son of Neptune one will be teal. I'll probably post images of what they look like on social media. I've just been very busy with baby and professional talkers and my life and softball games. And we are recording a new episode of Middling Adults this week. So season 5 is in the works for the folks curious about that. So lots of stuff going on. Social media has really fallen to the back burner. So hopefully I'll post an image of it. But you can imagine what it looks like. It'll be with the TNO text. Yeah, come on. Now, speaking of the Patreon, I'm going to give a shout out to the folks who have joined the Patreon most recently. So shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Emma Trimble, Young Ben Kenobi, and Sydney Aldretti. And shout out to our newest demigod tier patrons, Sheepka and Star Baker, followed by a little star emoji. And shout out to all the people who've already upgraded to the annual pledge way ahead of that September 1st deadline. Thank you so much. May Dionysus bless you that if you are attending a sporting event of a team that you support, that they win, and thus it's a party. He's the party guy. Hopefully it's a party and you don't spend money on tickets only to watch your team lose. I'm not bitter about it. What? Now, if you're all caught up on the news Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, obviously I would recommend Professional Talkers. Please listen and subscribe to that wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But I would also recommend a new show that I made and released a couple of months ago with Eric Schneider, who's on this episode, The Last and the Curious. We hinted at it a little bit in this episode. It's a limited series podcast, so we made 13 episodes. We made one for each Fast and Furious movie and then a couple little extra episodes. And you can listen to all of those right now by going to the Patreon shop. You go to the newsolympian.com/Patreon, go to the shop, or you can go to thelastandthecurio.us and it'll hyperlink you there. And then just for $5, you get access to all of these episodes, no advertising, just straight up the content. And it was really fun. I had never seen any Fast and Furious movie before. Eric has seen them dozens and dozens of times. So it was really fun. We would watch the movie and then immediately get on the microphone. 4 of them, we watched the movies together. And then for the rest, we would watch them remote and then get on the mic right after we had watched them. And it was a really fun project to make. I've been so excited with the positive response. Over 350 people have already purchased and listened to it, and a lot of people have told me they liked it. And it's really cool because a lot of people have told me at live shows, oh, my partner doesn't care about Percy Jackson or Harry Potter or basketball or whatever it is for your other podcasts, but they love the Fast and the Furious. So I finally got them to listen to one of your shows. So that's been really cool. It's been great. So again, you can go to thelastandthecurio.us or you can go to the TNO Patreon and go to the shop tab and you can get it there. That's also where you can get things like the replay of the Des Moines episode we did in the past or an old live show that the audio has never been put on the feed where Johnny and I did a bracket for who's the best demigod that isn't Percy in the first 5 books. So lots of fun stuff over on the TNO Patreon shop. But yeah, check out The Last and the Curious. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors to make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me. Others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in Niger, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in French. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the News Olympian. Hope you all had a very good intermission. We missed you all so dearly. We've got some fun stuff to discuss, so let's conclude this chapter.
Fun.
Yeah, I lose that. I use that term just ever so slightly loosely. Where we last left our heroes, they were going to be running down Annabeth and Raina, trying to figure out what is going on with the warship attacking New Rome. So we have Roman demigods in an angry mob throwing plates and food and rocks at the Argo II, the streets. But mostly these things just fall back into the crowd. I love them not having weapons, so they're just like trying to chuck everything. And just the envisioning of like you being in this mob and then all of a sudden like a cake lands on the back of your head.
Yeah.
Because some dude threw it thinking he could reach a flying warship. Like,
also, like, I get the impression it's quite large, and it's like you really gotta think you got an arm on you for food.
This apple's really gonna take it down.
The whole of a ship, presumably 35 feet in the sky or something.
This plate and throw like a frisbee. That's gonna blow up the whole thing. Yeah, maybe they've all seen Star Wars and they're like, maybe there's one exhaust thing.
Yeah.
If we get it in the one spot.
So they're throwing all this stuff. There are several dozen Romans surrounding Jason and Piper who are unable to calm them. Piper's charm speak isn't working. There's just too many people. Jason's Roman garb, which he was wearing outside of his Camp Half-Blood stuff, is getting all torn up, and now it's revealing the Camp Half-Blood stuff, which is not helping as he repeatedly insists, I'm on your side, I'm on your side, and his clothes say, I'm on the other team.
It's almost like a metaphor. His Roman vestige is just coming apart.
Right. When he first describes wearing this, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's a little strange, but I think kind of nice. He's trying to, admit that there is part of him that's on the other side, but should put on a good show of, but I'm here for you. And it has backfired so terribly.
It's also wild how quickly they turn on him.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
He's been missing for months. He was the praetor. He's, basically in charge of the camp, like co-running it with Raina. He comes back. They don't even seem that happy. They don't seem happy enough. Or at the very least, if they really did like and respect Jason, you would think he shows up with the Greeks, even if they're not going to be like, yay, woo, like this has them worried, at least they could be like, well, let's hear the Greeks out. Our good friend Jason clearly likes them, but it just comes back and they're, I don't know. I guess it would be like if one of your friends, who is a Chicago Cubs fan, came back wearing a Sox hat and you're like, what are you doing? Because apparently you are from Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't have confidence enough in a Midwest accent to poke fun at Chicago accents.
Good job. You made the right call on that one.
But, immediately turn on him. It seems so quick. I felt similarly. So the warship keeps firing. One blasts a toga shop to bits, and I was like, oh, I didn't know they had a toga shop. That sounds really cool. Dang. The book then says the following, quote, Pluto's pauldrons, Raina cursed. Look! Do you know what a pauldron is?
I don't
either. Shoulder armor. But of course. Pluto's shoulder pads. She calls for us all to look, and there are armed legionnaires running into the forum. There are artillery crews setting up, and Annabeth knows that this is just going to make things worse. Raina says that she hates her job and rushes in towards them to try to get them to stop. I do like, at least in this moment, it feels like Raina is committed to trying to keep the peace. So I'm glad that her instinct when seeing all this is like, something has gone wrong. I don't think it's you. I do believe you, Annabeth, that you don't know what's going on as well. I got to try to keep the peace. So she is not turning. And just the more I learn about Raina, the more I like her. I really do think she's fantastic.
Yeah, because it would be very easy at this point to just be like, open fire.
Just punch her in the face.
Or just punch Annabeth.
They're running down the hill. She just sticks out her leg and trips Annabeth.
Gets her.
So Annabeth is, of course, worried about Percy, so she begins to scan the crowd and try to find him. There are two Romans that try to grab her, but she dodges them so easily that the book doesn't even get into it. Adding to the chaos are the purple ghostly lairs running about all through the crowd. The fawns are taking advantage of the chaos to take food and plates and cups and stuff. Terminus does his explode teleportation bamf from X-Men, like he's Nightcrawler, and shows up near Annabeth and yells at her in Latin. And Annabeth obviously cannot understand it, but she gathers that he's probably calling her a liar, let's say it all together, Mendax, or a rule breaker, let's say it all together, Privaricator Praecepta. We all knew this because we all took Latin in high school. She just pushes him over and keeps running, which I think is fantastic. She's 2 for 2 on getting people out of the way. Then she sees Percy with Hazel and Frank in the middle of a fountain. Percy, he always finds a way to the fountain so he can use his water powers. I think it's very smart. I'm so glad he did this. But there in the middle of the fountain, Percy is using his water powers to keep these angry Romans at bay.
It is convenient that he ended up, I mean, I guess it's not convenient, but it's convenient in the sense that the Greeks and Romans built a lot of fountains.
Yeah.
So there's always one around.
Right.
But it would suck if he was in some other universe in which it was just some kind of culture that wasn't big on fountains.
Right.
It's this is I don't know. I can't think of a culture that doesn't have a bunch of fountains. This has been a terrible bit.
No, but I see what you're saying. In other instances in the Percy Jackson series, it has been very fortunate that there is some sort of body of water. It was very fortunate that Luke decided to put his headquarters on a cruise ship. And not just on a cruise ship, but a cruise ship with a pool and a fountain. Like, Luke was like, make sure there's water on every floor of my headquarters. We got to kill Percy Jackson. Yeah, sure, let's get some horses and stables too. But this does feel like not necessarily how convenient, but more of like,
makes sense.
If you go to Rome, there's fountains all over the place. Yeah. We've all seen the Lizzie McGuire movie. Come on. First thing they do is they go to the Trevi Fountain. There's tons. They're all over the place. Those Romans can't get enough of them. So she has pushed over Terminus. She keeps running. She now sees Percy in the fountain and everything. They're keeping people at bay. She calls out Percy's name, but at that moment, a catapult hits the Argo II, the squeakwall, and it begins to tilt sideways, and flames go over the hull. Annabeth sees a figure dangling by the rope ladder trying to descend, and I was like, okay, this is either Leo, and I hope he doesn't fall, or Octavian, and I hope he falls. Unfortunately, it's Octavian, and unfortunately, he has not fallen. He is, at this point, descending, and at this point, I was for sure thinking it was Octavian. I was like, oh, this is so obvious what has happened. Why did we think bringing Octavian onto the ship was a good idea? Clearly, he went up to the ship with Leo. He asked Leo to show him the gun controls and shooting off the missiles. He did something to tie up Leo or knock him out or whatever. He set it all to fire, and then he went down the rope ladder, and he's going to be like, oh, look at what your Greeks are doing. I was like, clear as day, this is exactly what happened. Let's see. So Percy spots Annabeth and begins to ask, and before he can even get past what, she just says, I don't know. Octavian says that he knows. He says the Greeks have fired on them. He says that Leo has the weapons all set on Rome. Annabeth feels like she's filled with liquid hydrogen. She feels like she might shatter into a million frozen pieces. As someone who used to work with liquid hydrogen, it's cold. It's very, 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 very cold. I can tell you that. Annabeth thinks what Octavian has said is a lie. Leo would never do this. There's no way he would be doing this. He can't be telling the truth. But Octavian insists. He says that he saw it with his own eyes. The warship then returns fire. The legionnaires scatter as this missile that is shot blows a catapult to smithereens. So at least they seem to be okay, but the catapult not doing so hot.
Not a helpful thing that Leo quite recently, maybe the last thing he said was that he's crazy. Literally the last thing he says, you'd be crazy to go on that quest. He's like, good thing I am. And then his ship starts shooting stuff.
Right.
I don't know. Bad timing.
When the ship continued to shoot stuff, then I did remember the Leo face change thing, and I was like, oh no, maybe whatever this evil thing is going on is going. I didn't want to believe Octavian, but the proof was seeming to be in the pudding, and I was like, perhaps what's going on with Leo's cold face, I don't know. Is this Sammy ? At this point, I was like, maybe that's what's going on. Octavian actually might not be lying.
The one reason I thought it wouldn't be Octavian is just what would he do? He just gets on the guns and then he abandons it. They did it. It just doesn't work. So I was there's gotta be there had to be something else. Cause I did is of course he's on the boat and now it starts doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. How convenient. But I'm even if it's the worst plan ever, it just doesn't hold up to any scrutiny.
Right. It certainly wouldn't have worked for a YA book because the only way you can get this to work is you can't have any witnesses.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Octavian would have to kill Leo.
Exactly.
It's the only way this plan works. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. So Octavian says, you see? And then instructs the Romans to kill the invaders. And I was like, whoa. Who are you to give this order? But also, whoa. Kill feels a bit extreme. Let's talk. Annabeth knows that they do not have enough time to explain the truth. There's absolutely no way that they're going to be able to talk it all out and sit down and sort out what's going on. So she has to resort to plan B. Let's get out of here. So she gathers up Percy instantly because, of course, he's going to be like, yeah, that sounds great. Oh, that was another thing in the audiobook. The dude's Percy voice was very I'm Percy Jackson. He makes Percy sound like a buffoon.
I love it. That's my Percy Jackson right there.
What's up, Annabeth? Want to walk around? It's very dude bro. Super weird. Annabeth is gathering Percy, and then she wants to gather Hazel. So she asks Hazel if she's in, and Hazel says yes, but we're not going to get out of here without a distraction. Annabeth says, what are we going to do? And Hazel whistles, and Arion, who the audiobook calls Orion, like he's the constellation.
This is me learning this live because Mike did say he yelled Orion in the car as he did every time the name was different. I was like, that's the only way to say that one. So now I'm genuinely confused by this. How is it spelled?
It's Arion.
That's wild.
Yeah. I don't know the exact correct pronunciation. I've been saying Arion because if I
Right.
say Arian, it sounds a little too much
Yeah.
like. So I've been really hitting that O in
Yeah.
Arion.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's Orion.
I've definitely just assumed it's Orion.
Sure.
Right, with an O the whole time. Yeah.
Naturally. That would make sense. Constellation. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. A lot of stuff.
I also do have to say that the way he says Alcyonius is Alcyonis. There was no other. I know. Alcyonis. Like, he's got problems with his nose. That's it. I forgot where he said it, but it was in my notes where in the car I was like, I have to type these so I don't forget them so that I say them on stage. So anyway, Arion, our good horse friend, not the belt guy, shows up. And then this is because one time I made a joke about the constellation being fashion related, and I got so many emails. So many emails. And I was like, that's the joke, is that it's so obvious. Hazel then climbs aboard Arion and says, send me an iris message when you're safely away and we'll rendezvous. And then she, and goes off. And she zooms off in this blur of beige, and the Romans start scattering away, and Annabeth gets her first glimmer of hope that we actually might make it out of here alive. And I love Annabeth, like, instantly really respecting Hazel, because I think Hazel's awesome. I think she's super powerful, and I like that Annabeth hasn't really seen what she can do aside from the one gem thing showing up, but like, how are you going to guess that that's her power / tick when she gets nervous? So I love that right away Annabeth's like, ooh, who do we got this girl on the team? Let's go. Like, I love that. So she has zoomed off, and now Annabeth sees Jason continuing to try and reason with the Romans. He and Piper are getting literally stoned, like they are chucking stones at them, and then Jason gets hit in the head with a brick, and he just crumbles. Ugh. Payson is trying to charm speak them to stop because they started to like rush in after they got him down. And she does this big, loud, like, get out, yells like she's 11 in Stranger Things. And they all kind of poof and stay at bay. But Annabeth knows this is not going to last. We have to act. So Percy then tells Frank it's up to him, and he asks Frank, can you help? And Frank goes, oh, gods, confirming that he can do it, but he does tell them, you got to just get up the ropes. And I was like, ooh, what animal is Frank going to turn into? Like, elephant would be fun to do it again, and then you could have some kind of fun thing with Hannibal, but I was very intrigued just to see what happened. So Percy and Annabeth go for the ladder. Octavian is still at the bottom of the ladder, but Percy, love him, yanks him off and throws him into the mob.
Amazing.
Just gets him out of there. So good. So Annabeth and Percy then begin to climb. Legionnaires are all up in the forum now. There's arrows that are whizzing past Annabeth's head, and then there's an explosion that almost knocks her off of the ladder. And halfway up, she hears a roar below and glances down. The Romans scream and scatter as a full-size dragon charges through the forum. What? What a great comeback, because we saw Frank fail to be a dragon, so I guess he read a bunch of books about dragons, because the limiting factor is you have to know more about.
It's also been like a day or two, right?
Yo, it has.
Yeah, when did he get this dragon stuff?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Yeah. But look, maybe Frank just really committed. I got this would be because look, he's at this point trying to impress Hazel, right?
Yeah.
Right? So what will stop a teenage boy from trying to impress his cool new girlfriend? He stayed up all night being like, I need to learn everything about dragons. If she liked when I turned into an elephant, she's gonna lose her mind if I turn into a dragon. So my headcanon is he did as much dragon research as possible overnight.
He read Aragorn.
Aragon, right?
Aragon.
Yeah, Aragorn is from
Aragorn's
the Lord
from
of
the
the
Rings.
Rings.
Sorry.
But if he is trying to impress her, he could read a lot of pages about how to open doors sexily.
Yeah.
Oh, so hot. God. Ugh. with the sweaty hair. Oh, come on. So he's done his dragon homework. The Romans, of course, are freaking out because this real dragon is even more terrifying than the bronze dragon on the warship above them. The narration of it is, quote, "It had rough gray skin like a Komodo lizard's and leathery bat wings. Arrows and rocks bounced harmlessly off its hide as it lumbered toward Piper and Jason, and grabbed them with its front claws and vaulted into the air." And Annabeth just goes, "Is that?" And Percy goes, "Frank, he has a few special talents." And then Annabeth just goes, "Understatement, keep climbing." So at this point in time, I had stopped taking notes because Eric had finished the chapter and was talking about it, thinking that I was done. And he was like, "Did you get to the end of the chapter yet?" And I was like, "Oh no, like they're just on the ladders." And then Eric went, "Save it." So I have actually not read the ending of this chapter yet. Because Eric was like, "The ending hits so hard, just do it
There's a
live."
wild thing that happens at the end of this, I think.
Yeah, and we're getting close to it. So I'm going to kind of summarize, do some quotes, whatever. So narrator Annabeth says, quote, "Without the dragon and Hazel's horse to distract the archers, they never would have made it up the ladder. But finally, they climbed past a row of broken aerial oars and onto the deck. The rigging was on fire. The foresail..." Oh, yeah, I know what a foresail is.
I love aerial oars, though. That's real cool.
Just like the vibe of
just
like
like
rowing
the
through
oars
the
are just
sky.
out there. I think it adds to the visual because I feel like they kind of describe the thing, but I can't tell like how much this looks just like a floating ship, how much it looks like a Final Fantasy floating ship, and I'm kind of imagining a combo of both.
I agree. I did not envision like external oars until just right now.
Right, yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it's cool. The foresail was ripped down the middle and the ship listed badly to starboard. Yeah, that's one of the directions. There was no sign of Coach Hedge, but Leo stood amidships. Oh, so many boat words. Calmly reloading the ballista. Annabeth's gut twisted with horror. So she screams for Leo. She asks what he's doing. And then he faces Annabeth and says, "Destroy them." His eyes are glazed over. His movements are like a robot's. He says, "Destroy them all." Then he turns back to the ballista. Oh, Percy tackles him. Leo's head hits the deck hard. His eyes roll up so that only the white show. That's not good. That's not what you want. The gray dragon soared into view. It circled the ship once and landed at the bow, depositing Jason and Piper, who both collapsed. Percy yells, "Go, get us out of here." And then narrator Annabeth says, with a shock, Annabeth realized he was talking to her. She ran for the helm. She made the mistake of glancing over the rail and saw armed legionnaires closing ranks in the forum, preparing flaming arrows. Hazel spurred Arion, and they raced out of the city with the mob chasing after them. Oh, so she didn't get aboard. She's going to like chase along. Ooh, interesting. More catapults were being wheeled into range. All along the Pomerian line, the statues of Terminus were glowing purple, as if building up energy for some kind of attack. Oh, no, don't do that. Terminus, no. Annabeth looked over the controls. She cursed Leo for making them so complicated. No time for fancy... Oh, right, because of the Wiimote. Annabeth's never played the Nintendo Wii. No time for fancy maneuvers, but she did know one basic command. Up. She grabbed the aviation throttle and yanked it straight back. The ship groaned, the bow tilted up. At a horrifying angle, the mooring line snapped, and the Argo II shot into the clouds. And that is the end of chapter 4. Ooh.
What an end.
Was there anything particular? I was expecting something way worse.
I mean, I think the Leo stuff.
I mean, yeah,
I get the impression he is fully being taken over by a spirit.
Yes. I mean, yeah. The robotic thing is interesting.
Yeah,
It
and
feels
the
like someone
eyes
is
glazing
controlling
over,
him.
and he yells, "Destroy them all."
Yeah.
I think something bad's happened to Leo.
I agree. Let me revisit
Yeah.
it. In my brain, I thought it was going to be the thing that Rick does where like the last line would have like I was fully expecting the ship to like explode with everyone on.
yeah.
Like, I thought it was going to be like Annabeth pulled it and the ship burst into flames.
Yeah.
So let's go back. You're right. That Leo stuff is wild. So Leo says, "Destroy them." Then he faces Annabeth and his eyes are glazed over. His movements are like a robot. Destroy them all. He turns back. Percy tackles him. He hits the deck hard and his eyes roll up. So it's just the whites in his eyes.
So something bad.
Something quite bad. Something quite bad. Yeah. So it feels, I'm trying to, who would possess him to do this? The easy answer is Gia.
Yeah.
Because she wants the Greeks and the Romans to not get along. But it feels like it's going to be Gia's henchman, like this book's Alcyonius, not Alcyoneus. This book's Alcyonius, this book's Polybites, like this book's one of the sub-baddies.
Yeah.
It feels like that there's going to be some sort of person who has like possession powers. Oh, with the Sammy thing, because we still don't know.
Right.
Sammy
There's
Leo.
so much to unpack.
I wonder
and we
if-
don't know what it is.
Here's my thought, because my running theory, as I continue to only look you in the eye and no one from the crowd, my one theory is that Sammy is actually just like Leo's like grandpa or something. Like they just look strikingly similar.
Yeah.
It's not like Leo's reincarnated Sammy. It could be something where Sammy like actually did die. And because his soul is in the underworld, it could be where some sort of like evil underworld related person who has death powers
Influencing him.
Right, it's like utilizing the dead spirit of Sammy and the link that he has with Leo to have him like take over. I don't know. Like I don't think Sammy is secretly evil, but I wonder if because Sammy has died and there's like some sort of tie that like there's something going on there where he's like winter soldiering Leo.
Yeah. Have we seen Gia at either camp? Has she like been on the grounds? Like, do we know that like it's protected?
I don't think so. Like her face and shadows have never been on either of the camps yet, right? Like it's only been when they're out on the quests, or like I think it's the closest is like in dreams for people sleeping at camp, but I don't think it's ever been like, the shadows on Camp Half-Blood Hill.
Yeah, but I also guess the Giants did get into Rome last book, so I mean they definitely like don't have like full imperviousness to it. Like it's not like Gia could technically probably influence someone in the camp,
right?
So like that's could be her, could be the next big bad
some sort
henchman.
of, the next giant in this book. But yeah, it's super interesting. And I am glad because this is something I wondered about on the last stage. Like I have seen the cover of this book and it looks like a boy in an orange shirt and a boy in a purple shirt on flying horses are fighting each other. Could these be two other random people? Sure. But
probably.
I went into this knowing like there might be some sort of conflict. But I guess now, even with this, like all the seven are together. But I was hoping, not that I wish this upon anyone, but I was hoping that someone got possessed so that it wasn't just like one of our friends that we like is actually someone we hate. Like we already hate Octavian. So like, no, don't worry about that. But like, I don't want to have to dislike one of our seven. So the fact that this is at least Leo being taken over by something or someone else makes me at least feel better in that it's better. Like that's obviously bad, but it is better than Leo actually has been evil the whole time, which is way worse.
The thing that I thought could happen and kind of wanted to happen from a narrative perspective, not for the character, is that like Percy or Jason would be possessed and do something like really bad at the end of this book, and they'd have to like break them out of that in the fourth book.
Right.
And that seems less likely now because obviously they've already picked a possessee.
Exactly. It's much like how certain shows aren't going to do like some type of major plot twist. At least the same type of thing twice. And if it does, it might just be a bad TV show or movie. So yes, once Leo was possessed, I feel like that kind of took away Jason or Percy being possessed. Or at the very least, it would just have to be whoever is possessing Leo also possessing one of them.
Moves
like,
on from one of the others,
Yeah, which like still could happen. So that's that. I do have to retitle chapter 4. I have not done that yet because I didn't finish it. So I will call it, We Utilize the Backup to the Backup to the Backup Plan.
That's pretty good.
Do you have a retitling of chapter 4?
I don't think I have anything better than that because that's really just kind of what's going on here.
All right, great. Well, now if you're listening to the podcast, we'll take another break and then we will get into Q&A. So let's once again say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye, podcast people.
Hey, it's Mike from the future here. We're just going to take one more little break since this is a longer episode. We'll do some more locally inserted ads before getting into the Q&A, which is very fun. But now we'll take that break and then we'll get into the Q&A portion of this Chicago live show episode of TNO.
Let's get into Q&A to close the show. All right, so we got time for some questions. So let's do some questions. This first one is from Nikki Harris. It says, Mike Schubert and Elijah Wood back in Chicago in the same week. Coincidence? I think not. The last time I was here, I did come off of a weekend of hanging out with Elijah Wood at LeakyCon. It was objectively very cool. Hey, Mike and Eric, super excited to be here and to be dropping my boyfriend into the middle of the series by introducing him on book 3 of the sequel series. Good luck out there. If the 7 could have had a more normal childhood and been able to experience one birthday where they go somewhere like a Chuck E. Cheese, where would each of them want to go? Chuck E. Cheese is not out of the question. Thanks so much for what I assume is an awesome show, and always happy to come support you however I can. So, We've got our 7 having like normal, regular birthday parties. I think Leo is going to do, there was a place that I used to go to in New Jersey. I want to say it was called the Fun Zone. It was basically a place where it's just like had all these arcade machines and stuff. And then for a kid's birthday party, they were just on free play mode. And they had like cars that would be like RC cars that you raced with like actual steering wheels. And then there was like a big like NASCAR thing. They had like boats that did that too. But then they had like classic arcade games. And then they had like skee ball and like some carnival type games, like knocking stuff down, throwing stuff. It was super cool. And it was this fun thing where like basically every kid in my small K through 8 school, like for 3rd grade, like had their birthday party there. So you had a good run when we were 9, just like going there like every other weekend and trying to set the high scores.
I think Frank would go to Discovery Zone. Does anyone remember Discovery Zone?
Yeah, totally.
That place ruled. They should bring it back for adults, probably. Add alcohol to it. I bet people would really, barcades are cool. Discovery zones would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure no liability issues there.
That's certainly. Just waiver.
Hazel would go to the soda parlor. She's old-timey.
Yeah. I could also see Frank going to the zoo.
Yeah. Research.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Those are some fun ones. Okay.
Water park for Percy.
Okay, this one is from Kira. Says, the breakfast pizza was better 5 years ago, to be honest, but it slaps when you're hungover and/or intoxicated, and then this emoji 5 times. And most of Iowa is most of the time. I did gather that given we were doing the show at Des Moines, and I am not a big drinker in general, but especially with these shows. So like I just like drink a ton of water beforehand. I drink a ton of water after. Like I don't really do drink it with the shows. The bartender at the Des Moines show like thought I was insane. Like before the show, she was like, "I want to drink." I'm like, "No, the show's over." She was like, "Do you want to drink?" I was like, "No." She was like, "We do have non-alcoholic beers," and I was like, "I'm a tiny baby boy, and I think those are gross." But I was just like, "No, I'm just gonna have water," and she was like, "Are you sure?" Like she like really was like, "You gotta have something." And I was like, "I'm okay." So this email opens with, "What is good? Hi, I'm Kira." Kira, right? Not like Kyra. Kira, cool. Hi, I'm Kira. My question is, if you were a character in a book, what dramatic/epic death would you want? I'm not making it out alive. In the vein of Luke Kronos. P.S. I have a postcard from Iceland for you. That's super cool. Oh, wow, cool. All right, so if we're characters in a book and I guess we die, what kind of dramatic, epic death would you want? It's not necessarily dramatic or epic. This is what there's a podcast I really like hosted by Brett Goldstein called Films to Be Buried With. And he asks people to like tell their life through films under the premise that they've died and gone to heaven, and heaven's all about like movies and stuff. And he asks the guest how they died, and they give like an answer, and usually it's like their most likely thing. My most likely thing of how I would die is if it's gonna be something silly where I'm like on a bridge and I have like a phone in my pocket and I like accidentally like drop it, and then like in an effort to grab my phone from falling off from the rail, which is like not as bad as what I think would happen. Me falling off, like it would be me trying to like do something else to like stop a minor thing from happening, and then a major thing happens. I say this because a lot of times I'll be like washing dishes and like a mug will slip out of my hand, and rather than it just like drop into the sink, I try to like really quickly grab it, and I like grab it, but the force like knocks it into the edge of the sink, and then it breaks. It's like if I just let it drop, it wouldn't have shattered. So it's not necessarily epic, but I guess dramatic of just some sort of thing of me being like, oh, and then oh, yeah.
I was on a fan boat ride in the Everglades one time, and someone had their phone on like a snap thing, and it snapped off as they sat down, and they went to reach it, and everyone was like, "Don't do that, there's alligators." The whole point they didn't. Everyone's fine.
Cool.
But we were like, the whole point that we're doing this thing is to not touch the water because of the gators. I don't know how I would want my dramatic death to exactly be, but I would want to like have a really cool speech, and then seem like I died, and then have like one more thing to say.
I dig it. Okay, this one is from Maureen, subject line WWRS. What would Rick say? Hi, Mike. If Uncle Rick were here today, what would be your number one question to ask him? 1, about Percy Jackson in general, and 2, about today's content, chapter 3 or chapter 4. Keep Chicago on your tour city list and come back soon, Maureen. So, if you had to ask Uncle Rick a question about the Percy Jackson universe in general, what would you ask him?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I'd have to consult because I have my big running list of like questions to ask Uncle Rick if I ever get him on the pod, and I don't know what would be like the absolute number one. I think I would. The one that I find the most fascinating is him always dunking on Dean Martin music. And I want to know if it's like Rick doesn't like Dean Martin music or if he's just like, teenage boys would not like Dean Martin music. Because it comes up so much that I wonder if he has like some weird gripe where like he saw Dean Martin in concert and it didn't go well. Like, I wonder if there's something.
I mean, that would make sense. What I know about late Dean Martin. I mean, I would kind of just want to know like which of the gods is his favorite.
Ooh,
like
okay.
both in like reality, like as a mythological thing, and also like in the books. Like which god does he like writing for the most or something like that.
Yeah, that's fun. About these chapters in particular, I feel like I would ask him, when you're writing Leo and saying all of the things like, this is epic, what's up, throwing peace signs, like, what is the inspiration, and do you have a consultant? Because I know he has a son, and I wonder if his son was at the right age where he might just be like, "Hey, kiddo, I'm writing these sassy."
I was gonna say like I bet he has like a nephew or something, but the fact that he probably has a son makes even more sense.
It would be super cool if you like check with him. I know he also was a teacher for a number of years, so the answer could just be that. But I would wonder if he ever like vibe checked the lingo with his son.
I would want to know like which. I mean, it's kind of similar to my last answer, but like which of the like duos that like haven't gotten to talk, having conversations, like getting to have Annabeth have that conversation was really cool. So yeah, I think like who would you have wanted to sit down and talk of like the 9 or 10 major characters that we have now who could have the most interesting conversation but didn't make sense to like put it in the book.
Yeah, look, a lot of stuff we could ask him. Okay, this one is from Anissa, right? Is it Anissa or Anissa? Okay, I was going to say there's 2 S's. So my apologies. Anissa. Subject line is Fit Check Chicago. Hi, Mike. This is Anissa. So happy you're back in Chicago. First, please use this as an opportunity to talk about your outfit if you have not already. This is a new shirt that I got. It's a linen shirt. My new thing this summer is I've gotten some linen shirts so I cannot be as sweaty when the weather gets a little bit warmer. I decided on the green one because I have done enough shows in Chicago that I've run out of my normal thing of like, I'll dress up like the city flag, which I've done, or like I'll wear colors like that are close to like one of the sports teams, which I've done. So instead I was like, don't they paint the river green sometimes on St. Patty's Day? So I was like, so I was like, let's do that. So that's the point of the green shirt, the green socks, and then the pink shoes. I thought just like put it all together. Shout out to Eric because I was between 2 different pairs of shoes in the green room, and he said that the pink made it look better. And then the pink friendship bracelet is just to like bring the shoes into the rest of the outfit.
Yeah, hold on, I got a fit check too.
Fit check as well, please.
I've got, if you know the video game Disco Elysium, I've got the Kim Kitsuragi pants, and this is the T-shirt from the Bear.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's a great T-shirt.
It looks good.
It's like 8 or something like ounce cotton. It's very heavy, and it's really, really comfy. It's the most comfortable T-shirt I've ever owned.
Is the beanie anything, or
the beanie's from the same company as the shirt?
Well, there
which
you go.
is like M. Schwarin. It's some German nice brand.
Yeah.
They got a swan. They got a swan logo.
Second, inspired by the Iowa live stream last night. Last time I was in Iowa, I bought a bumper sticker from Raygun that says "Honk if you're worried." What would the 7 have as a funny bumper sticker? You're the best. Hope to see you again soon, Anissa. Okay.
My other ride is Frank.
Maybe he's lost my other ride is Arion. Or like, or she would have something where it's like something. It would just say like horsepower, but it would have a picture of a horse. That like some joke there. And then I feel like, oh man, this is a great question, but it requires lots of thought. Let's see. Percy. Jason would probably just have like a bumper sticker that's just like a waving American flag, just mid wave. And then like would I already did Hazel, but Hazel could have one that's like, my other ride is a horse and buggy. And then let's see, Piper. Oh man, Piper would just would something that like doesn't bring a lot of attention to it. Like maybe hers would just be like a solid color because she just doesn't want like all the attention of celebrity and stuff. And then Leo would have some sort of like stupid joke. Like he would have the kid that's like pissing on something. Like Leo would have that,
Calvin,
like pissing on like broccoli or something because he's like, vegetables are for losers, like something like that. Gosh, Percy? I don't know. It would, whatever it is, it would be blue. Maybe it would be one of those like rather be on the beach.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I'd rather be on my boat or something.
Something like that. Okay. This one is from Gretty and Austin and Alvin. Subject line says, Chicago, home of the best pizza and the best pigeons. I do love Chicago pigeons. The last time I was here, I was taking the subway, the L. Okay. So I was taking the metro, and there were pigeons like on the track, like straight up on the track. And the train was coming, and they like waited until the last second to move, and they did not fly away. They like hopped off and walked and like hopped up. Like,
that's cool.
They were chill as hell. Anyway,
Devil may care pigeons. I love it.
The email says, OMG, hi, welcome back to Chicago. It missed you, and so did we. Question. The girlies in PJO/HOO are being drafted into the awesome and wild WNBA season shaping up. Yep, the draft is ongoing right now. I'm very excited to see who my beloved Seattle Storm have drafted. Who's going where? Who's creating the most drama? Who's got the best fits? Does anyone hop on the Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe podcast? Need this crossover. Ghost Guy and Huskies love Gretty and Austin and Alvin. So we are taking our ladies from the 7 and putting them into WNBA teams. If you're not familiar with the WNBA.
I was going to say, we're doing this?
So you can at least pop in for like who would have like cool fits, because like draft day, they're always going to wear like cool outfits and stuff. So I would think, let's see, I'm trying to think of like who would be, if we're going to go by, because I can go by the team names, and I can pull this up so that you could go if we're going just by the names. If we're going
Cleveland's getting a team.
They're getting the Cleveland Rockers. They're coming back, which is very exciting.
We're coming back. We're going to win it all.
So those are the current, that's not the current teams. Come on, Google, get it together. These are the current teams. So I could see.
One of them's literally called Mercury.
Yeah. But no one's none of the girlies are Hermes.
Darn.
Let's see. Ooh, I feel like Annabeth would be drafted to the Valkyries, which is a new team this year.
That makes sense.
You know, they're warriors and such, and they are also a team, since they're not like doing super well, like this is their first year, and first year teams are never particularly good. I think Annabeth could like go and really kind of like be at the helm.
You think Ella's wings or mystics? Because she's got wings, but she's also kind of mystical.
Yeah, I would think the wings. I feel like she could work on the wings.
It's on the nose, but it works.
Yeah, and I think that she could work on, like, from a basketball perspective, the wings, because they have a lot of new players this season. They made a bunch of trades. Like, even I didn't like her at first. She's like hard not to eventually fall in love with. So she could, I think, kind of unify the team, which would be nice. And then Piper, I think even though it's not necessarily fits the location, like she's going to go to the Los Angeles Sparks, but she's going to, I think on draft day, like try and like keep it low key and chill. And from a basketball perspective is maybe going to try to be like the glue person on the team that like brings people together on the court. Like she's not going to try to shine. She's going to try to get like assists and stuff. And then we need somewhere for Hazel. Fortunately, New Orleans doesn't have a team, so we can't go location wise. And then there's nothing really like undergroundy and stuff.
She could ironically be on the Sky.
Oh, that would be fun. Okay, yeah.
Also, Annabeth could be on the Atlanta Dream because she keeps having these dreams.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, but let's give Hazel the Chicago Sky, the hometown team. That would be pretty fun, and it would be fun to be like, you know, my dad may be Pluto, the god of the underworld, but I love being on the sky. Yeah. That could be very fun. Cool. Alrighty. That was a fun one. Okay, this one is from Simbri and Michael. And the way they put it in the pronunciation, like Simbri put a pronunciation and that said, and Michael in parentheses, you should know this one. Subject line is bad at subject lines. But in Chicago, hi, Mike and Eric, we are from Grand Rapids, Michigan, which you said on the pod is the best place to get specialty breakfast cereal. Ah, yes, because your grocery store is like, the cereal aisle was very long. It was very, very good. What would be different Heroes of Olympus characters' favorite breakfast cereal? So let's go with some of the 7. We may have done this answer before, but I don't think we've done it for the new folks. So let's go with like the Son of Neptune people. What are going to be their favorite cereals?
Yeah.
Oh, Percy Jackson is going to love Captain Crunch, naturally. Frank? Huh. Hazel could like Lucky Charms, specifically the ones with the unicorn marshmallows, because that feels like the closest to Magical Horse.
Yeah.
And then Frank. I think there is. I want to say they did. I don't know if they still make it, but I think they made a cereal version of the pink frosted animal crackers.
They did.
Yeah, they made a cereal.
That was so bad, but delicious. I mean, like bad for you, but that was really good.
Yeah.
Why was I overweight as a kid? Hard to figure out. Drink 3 glasses of milk and eat this cookie for breakfast.
Okay, this one is definitely for you. This is from Megan. The subject line is Midwest Dissension in all caps. Hi, Mike. Per the beginning of the show, if you had to assign each of the 7 main demigods one of the Midwestern states based on state, vibe, the character's personality, etc., which Midwestern state would each demigod be? So glad to have you back in Chicago after such an epic episode 100.
Okay.
I believe in you.
Yeah. Which one's the Thousand Lakes?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, so that's Percy.
Yeah, naturally.
Who's the most Ohioan?
What is to be an Ohioan?
I don't know. I really don't. We're just there. And I mean that so generally. Like, a lot of newscasters come through Ohio because we have a neutral accent, whatever that means. It's really weird how many people are national broadcasters that come through Cleveland. Yeah, I would say I think Frank might be Ohio.
Okay.
I think Leo might be Illinois.
Ooh, okay. As we're in Illinois, why?
I think because Chicago is the biggest city in the Midwest, and I think Leo's got big energy.
Okay.
And I think that just kind of lines up.
We don't want to give him Michigan because Detroit and cars in the automotive industry?
No.
Okay. Do we give Michigan to Jason? Because if you're thinking of American things, there's cars, and then isn't the Army or whatever? Isn't there the big thing in Michigan? Wasn't it something Arbor, right?
Ann Arbor?
Ann Arbor, right? Isn't that in Michigan?
Yeah.
Isn't that a big army? I don't look.
I think there's an army base there.
Okay, I thought that was a
no.
I
think he's more I would even say he might be Iowa. It just feels like football country out there.
Oh, just a classic all-American
kind of stuff.
Oh, I mean, Field of Dreams Field. Yeah.
We went.
It was great.
So good.
Me, Eric, and Johnny.
We literally just
played catch. We just played catch.
It was delightful.
We didn't do anything else. They have we get there and the guy's oh yeah, that's actually the house where they filmed it, and you can go inside and see all the set and stuff. And they're and here's the barn. It's and there's the field, and we just had a catch on the field for 30 minutes, and then we used the bathroom and left.
Yeah. Piper might be. I don't want to give anyone Indiana.
Is anyone here from Indiana? Whoa. Okay. But Spill, why don't you want to give anyone Indiana?
It's just. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad. It's all corn. It's all corn, and then there's just Indianapolis, which is a lovely town. But it's just kind of there. Yeah. I would say Piper. Let's go Wisconsin. I don't know why. Just feels right. I'm just running out of states more than anything. And then let's say
Have you
Hazel.
picked Hazel? Yeah.
I haven't picked Hazel. I mean, she's so identifiable with 2 states that aren't in the Midwest already that I don't feel like I could give her a Midwest state. She's from New Orleans and then Alaska.
And then somehow, by the nature of the Midwest taking up every single state, it appears those 2 states somehow have found their way to be no, yeah, that's the Midwest. Yeah, it counts. Ooh, perfect. This is a great way to end it because it's specifically to Chicago. So this one comes from Grace. And there's first this big thing about bug juice, which I'll have to read later. Because you know me, we'll be here for another hour, and we are already at time. But number 2 says, if you were to give a character a Chicago-specific food, what would they be? And they list them all. So there are 5 choices. I do not know what this last one is.
Oh, Gardenina?
Yes.
I said it wrong.
Giardiniera?
Giardiniera, yeah. They're hot peppers. They're delicious. We have them in our fridge all the time.
That feels like Leo, for sure.
Yeah.
Fire guy,
easily.
Spicy food lover, for sure. Chicago hot dog? What makes it... Okay, wait, where is Grace? Grace, what makes a Chicago hot dog a Chicago hot dog?
Definitely
Not ketchup.
Relish.
Mustard. Hot peppers. Onion. Tomato.
And celery salt and poppy seed.
And celery salt and poppy seed butter?
Bun.
A bun, poppy seed bun. Okay, that sounds very cool. So, and It feels good, but like it being a hot dog, it feels classic. Like I want to just give it to Jason. Like it just feels like And like if I know I like to poke fun at him being like the all-American thing, but like Jason is, I think, like while he is like your classic all-American boy, he is still very interesting and got a little bit of spice to him. So I feel like that works for the hot dog. Like classic all-American thing with a little bit of a spice. Italian beef, that's just like the big like wet sandwiches. Yeah. Percy, wet. Malört, this is tough. Let's end on Malört because that could go many directions. Deep dish. I mean, look, deep dish, like it's good, like it's homey, like it feels comforting. When I think of it as like a comforty food, like that feels like Hazel has like a home cooking New Orleans like comfort.
I was literally gonna say it's because the stuff's all down in there.
Went down.
I was thinking the same way, but for a completely different reason.
Dish. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So now Malört. Malört.
Have you had Malört?
I unfortunately have.
Okay, I have as well.
I learned about it because of a live show I did here years ago.
And I also have.
And it was at a place that was nice enough. The person asked, like, can I buy you a shot of Malört? And I was like, sure. And then we learned that the bar didn't offer it. I don't know if they do Malört here. I'm not doing it. We got to pick who's Malört. Because Malört, it's like, it's bad. But also, we love it, right? Like, it's terrible. It's the best and the worst. So we can't just give it Octavian, like, because it's terrible, but like no redeemingness at all. So like, what would be the best? No, I hate it. Like the best, but then also like the worst, but then also the best. Chiron, Dionysus. Dionysus does feel compelling. Do you have any thoughts of a one that's like grumble, but then?
Yeah, I mean, no, I do think Dionysus makes sense. I was thinking maybe like Zeus or Ares too. Like maybe like Ares and Mars combined because it's kind of like a
I like that. I like that. I also do like Mr. D because like for the most part he is like really rude to Percy Jackson. Like he's very bad. He's very dismissive and like very bitter and like to Percy. But like deep down, you know that he loves Percy Jackson. So as you have a shot of Malört, like, yes, on its surface, like, it is bad, and it tastes bad, and it stings, and it burns, and it's awful. But deep down, it's your hometown's bad liquor. So you love it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you all so much for coming out. Woo! What a fun show this was. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. Give it up to Eric for being an incredible guest.
Thank you.
Give it up to Becca for running the merch table. Give it up to Kelsey for saving us by letting us know, because she used to live in Chicago.
Yeah, she grew up in the Chicagoland area.
That she was like, oh, hey, you're going from here to there at this time. You need to leave now. Because when I looked up the drive of how far we are away, it was like 10-ish minutes. And with traffic, it took us 45.
Yeah, it's a 12-minute drive now there. Back. It was a 45-minute drive here, though.
Yeah, so that could have been really bad. So shout out to Kelsey for saving us. And speaking of staying at places, shout out to my buddy Patrick for letting us crash at his place. Thank you. That has been super helpful. And shout out to everyone here at Beat Kitchen, from Nathan kind of running point to Cameron running the sound. This has been a super smooth operation. So give it up for the folks at Beat Kitchen. Woo! Second time doing a show here, and both have been incredible. But seriously, and then huge shout out to Kelly and my parents for holding down the fort and babysitting the kiddo, and Kelly watching the kiddo so that I could do this whole tour. Very much appreciate it. But thank you all so much. This has been a delight. So glad to come back, and I hope to come back in not too distant of the future. But until I make my way back to Chicago for another show, until then, I'll
be here.
Thanks so much for coming out, everybody! Hello! Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamontes and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you really enjoy the show and you just can't get enough, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First, you can go to patreon.com/The Newest Olympian, and you can get access to all sorts of bonus content that I post on a very regular basis. You also can find us and get involved in the community on social media. We've got an Instagram, we've got a Blue Sky, we've got a Twitter, we've got a Facebook, we've got a subreddit, we've got a
Discord that's available to all patrons. If you want to support the show, you can get merch at thenewslympian.com/merch. You can see live shows at thenewslympian.com/live, and you can check out the aforementioned Patreon. And speaking of, I want to give a shout out to our highest tier, the Ultra God tier patrons who are helping to produce this show with their financial support. So shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Abby Ryan, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reedy, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, A Cup of Solace, Bradham's Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jacked Son, Han Haley Hingelheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kit Kat Crumbs, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black Vespa, and Zayden Wintergate. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, just spreading the show via word of mouth is huge. You can tell someone directly who you think would like the show. You could post about it on social media. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. All of these things really do help, and I really appreciate anyone who has done it in the past or will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode where we'll be joined once again by Eric Hamilton Schneider, but this time live in Columbus, Ohio, and we will be covering chapters 5 and 6 of The Mark of Athena. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So here in the auxiliary Shubio, we got a lot of different closet-y type things. One thing that is in this closet that is not in the Shubio is we've got suitcases, because this is more of a normal closet. So for this ASMR Mike, I'm going to roll out the suitcase from storage and then roll it back in, and hopefully the microphone picks it up. I've rolled it out. Now let me open up the handle thing and then collapse it. And then I'll roll it back in. Thank you all so much for listening.